Thank you. We're going to call to order the meeting. The Colchester Planning Commission. It is 7:08. 7:02. I'm sorry, the clocks are a little off. All right. So one thing I'd like to mention, if anybody comes in, we'd like you to sign in when you come in so we can have communication. Thank you very much. And now we have,
Oh, sorry. That's okay. I just can't get internet, so
there you go.
that would be great. Thank you.
So we have agenda considerations reserved for changes to the agenda items and order. I'm not changing anything tonight. Comments and questions from the public not related to anything on our agenda. Nope, all good.
Well, give me an example of what would be on this, like say.
Anything that's on supplement 44 basically tonight, and everything that has to do with East Lakeshore Drive.
Yeah, should I just, do I have to ask you a question, or just, can I just?
Yep, come up, give your name if you want to.
I don't know if we, Phyllis, East Lakeshore Drive, I don't know if we mentioned anything, I don't remember. I know we did fencing, but we didn't do trees and landscaping that blocks. So do we do size and placement of trees and things, or we don't want to do anything with that?
We have,
With the rebuilding and the zoning?
you're correct, we did not address that at all.
Okay.
Yep, thank you.
Will we, or not?
Maybe in the future we could discuss that, I'm not really sure where we're at with that one.
Okay, that's.
Is that okay?
Just wanted to throw it out there.
Absolutely. All right. All right, so we got our DHCA draft report review and possible action. When you're ready.
Christiane was, yeah.
How's
that?
Thank you. Let me just say really quick, if anybody does need it, I have one, try not to do more than one, full copy of the draft of the report and the regulations up here. They're available to grab if you'd like. Take a look through. I try to zoom in as I go through here, but just holler at me if you can't hear or see anything we're talking about. Okay, so those of you who have been through a supplement before know that with any amendments to your regulations, you need to create a report pursuant to 4441 statute. That report addresses three things really: the impact on municipal facilities, I'll scroll down, whether or not it conforms with your town plan, and what are the impacts on affordable housing. So that's what this report does. These are pretty short answers. They're pretty benign. I think that most of what we're talking about on East Lakeshore has little to no impact, or is neutral in terms of the effect on these three. This is your report. It will be submitted to them from you, not from me. And it is submitted to them from the Planning Commission, not the Select Board. So please feel free to edit at will if there's anything in here you think that doesn't represent.
You have any concerns on that?
Just an
No?
overview of the amendment.
No.
It's just lists the things that's going to be on the next item.
Exactly. Yep. Good with that?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
For all your dates of discussion. Show that this is a one-time meeting. And again, this is really the meat of the report.
I think we're all good with it. Everybody's shaking heads. Yeah. Yeah.
Bobbing our heads.
So there is a, when you're ready, there is a draft motion for you in the memo.
Oh,
Um,
all right. So someone needs to make, okay.
Yep.
I make a motion that we accept the amendment and adoption report as drafted to be included in the public warning and distributed accordingly.
Need a second? All right. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed.
To the agenda.
All right, so consider warning for public hearing amendments to the Colchester Development Regulations, Supplement 44.
So quickly, let me just tell you that very little has changed since the last probably 2 meetings in which you've discussed this. Really what is included here that was not included prior, a lot of the appendices, none of which have changed other than due to organization, page numbers, additional, there's an appendix that highlights every parcel that would change its zoning designation. You did have discussion, I understand, at your last meeting about the commercial building, or the commercial vehicle lengths. That should be in here. It's been updated. The heights of the building reflect what you talked about, I believe, 2, maybe 3 meetings ago, at 28 feet in the LS3. And then, really, I don't think, since the August 2nd meeting, there's no text changes to follow.
Yep.
It's really just compiling all of the stuff so you have it ready for a giant thing for warrant.
You have any questions on that one from anybody?
No, I just remember seeing some typos, but I didn't really make hard note of it. So you do a final go-through.
We will do that, and then we'll also have to, a lot of it will get caught with the redlining too. It'll probably change some formatting. We'll do all that.
Srita?
Just ask-
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Just to clarify
Yeah.
something, so L and N. L is the regulation for electric vehicle charging stations, and N is bicycle charging stations. Just wondering where we left off with that.
Yeah, you're a little frozen. So that was language that you talked about 2 meetings ago on July the 19th.
We talked about it last time.
Yeah.
Talked about it again for last week.
Yep.
Um,
I think we left it as to study the electric bike thing for the future. And we did not change anything for the cars.
I wasn't told that there were changes.
There were,
There
no, we didn't make changes. We decided to leave it.
I think we talked about 2 meetings ago is that we return to all of the bicycle regulations because there's a lot of room for improvement with respect to everything from what does a bike rack look like, how many should you be having, to electric bicycles as well. But
And with a quick little detail research right off the bat, I saw we have more electrical fires from electric bikes all of a sudden now happening.
I'm sorry, what?
We now have more electrical fires, the same as the batteries on the cars. So we would have to really start getting more detailed if we just want to do that, I think, make sure we're safe for everybody.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if construction will go ahead and we'll miss, again, an opportunity to put, bike chargers in enough, so people don't have to carry 50-pound bikes
Yep.
up 2 flights of stairs.
I definitely would like that, but I would rather have it safe, and I think a developer would be more educated before he does something that's unsafe for his property.
But is there any way we can make that kind of mandatory in terms of that it's studied, or, I really
We
feel-
can definitely look at it again. It's the same idea as everything else.
But this is at Seren's Corners, right?
This one just happens to be, I think it's for everything. We
Right.
did it for all big buildings. It
Severance-
happens to be Severance Corners is the one we
yeah,
focused
so I
on.
think what one of the things we talked about a couple of meetings ago is that anything that's subject to Act 250 will have state review. And so that largely is anything with over 10 units, 10 acres. Most of your larger buildings will have to meet those regulations under the state energy code. We talked about Severance Corners because given that they are in the growth center and the new town center, they are exempt from the Act 250 review. And so this could have been a loophole where something would have fallen through. That's why maybe you're thinking Severance Corners specifically, but most other large buildings will be subject to the state code, which will require most of that.
To have bicycle chargers and car chargers.
I'm not sure on the bicycle standards, to be honest with you.
Phyllis wanted to have,
Yeah, just-
you want an input on that?
Yeah, just,
Sorry, guys.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to just find out when we're dealing with the electrical systems and for bikes and cars, no matter what, in specific divisions. I mean, we're working with L3, L4, we're working all these different divisions. On East Lake Shore Drive, I don't see that we need these. Unless
Right.
the rental home, people are renting out one for their customers, but most of us are residential, so we have our own little. So I don't see any of this big stuff, like you were saying, like Severance Corners, needing a car.
I think we're
or-
talking
Okay.
about Severance
Good.
Corners, right?
Nope, it's perfect, thank you. Nope, yep,
We
Yeah,
are talking
yeah.
about, okay.
Yep, that's all right.
We are talking about Severance
Yeah.
Corners.
yep. Yeah, she just wanted to make sure, we're good.
Okay.
Yep, perfect.
So, my concern is that construction will happen and there'll be an opportunity that's missed because we don't have some regulation in that will require bike chargers.
I think we did, I think you're right, but I think, and maybe I'm wrong. If anybody here wants to chime in, I think our decision was to err on the side of caution and not make a decision on that. So we left it as is. That's how, that's,
I'm trying to find it, she used to
Yep.
left it out, so I'm trying to find it.
Yeah.
See what it says.
do you have that,
She
Kathy?
could search it.
Come on up.
Rick Davey, East Lake Shore Drive. There is no standard for bicycle chargers, so that's going to be the major stumbling block. That's why, like, a lot of the electric rental bikes, they take them back at night, charge them, bring them back. They
Yeah.
don't have a standard plug that they can charge into.
But I'm
right.
wondering if we can establish a standard.
That would be a national thing, I would think, but
So you could. I think that the discussion, I'm just remembering that the discussion that we had a few weeks ago was, this is something that would take a little bit of research and some language to put together, and it's up to you as to whether or not you want to delay the rest of the regulations while we work on this, or save it for the next one. There's probably some great language out there that I could bring to you for consideration. If you want to do that,
I don't think we should hold
you're
this
delaying
up.
everything else. I think it's your call. There is language I could bring to you.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't think we should hold up all the work we've gotten to get to this point to start talking about electric bicycles. I mean, it's a great idea and an interesting thought process, but we worked pretty hard to get to where we are to move this forward on a lot of things to back go.
I agree with Robert.
yeah, I have to
So-
say, I'm still on board with the moving
Okay.
forward.
I'm on board with moving forward, but I feel like I've been bringing this up
Yep,
like for a long time, so
yep, I got you.
I'm just concerned about wiring and, wires being run and not being able to, or having to tear up a sidewalk or something, because
Yep.
we didn't act on this, and I can't, electric bikes and electric vehicles are the future, in 10 years, that is the future, and I don't want to hold this up, but I would like to figure out a way that we could have this conversation very soon in the future.
We can definitely address it again.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm sorry, guys, I had to do a really hard reboot of this.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's not doing anything for me.
Okay.
Bear with me.
Go ahead, Phyllis.
I was
Yep.
just going to say something, because my neighbors, most of my neighbors now have the solar on their roofs. When they put those in, they asked if they like the additional plug-in for the car. So I've got 2 neighbors that have the solar with the car plugs. So it is definitely up and coming. It is totally the future. And like with Sarah, how we protect ourselves from the future, we're not sure, but we'd like to.
Yeah, all right, thanks.
Were you guys able to look at the other pieces, the heights, do they reflect where you want it to be, the
Yep.
commercial vehicle length? If you need me to find a page, I can, in a minute.
I didn't actually go through the regs and see exactly what it said.
I just went back to the red, to where we adjusted again. We've read the others enough.
I could pull it up, I don't
Yeah.
know.
When is a good time to chat about table 8.2?
Well,
About the height? When is it?
right now, come on up.
So from the last draft, it was 25 feet, and I brought up the point why LS1 is 20 feet, and you said, well, you wanted to allow a little bit more height. So now it's 28 feet, so which will allow, definitely allow a full two-story building with a roof, pitched roof, okay?
Yep.
So I want to go backwards to about character and why we're doing this and following the town master plan is about character, okay? And I think at one point I sent a letter to everybody about the number of 1.5-story homes that are there now that if we replace with 2-story block houses, will definitely change the character. So I would rather see it stay at 25 feet, okay, which I believe is a compromise, and allow the people to get creative architecturally with 1.5-story dormers. They'll still be able to get nearly 2 stories, but the roof will be lower in doing that. And if we allow 28 feet, it's just going to allow that 2-story block house.
Correct. Yep, okay, thank you. Yep,
Peter Mungin, 71 Jason Drive. And I apologize, Kathy Ann, I know I came to a few of your first meetings, but I've been extremely busy this summer and not been able to attend the more recent ones. And so I'm just curious, how was the 40, 44 was LS2 or LS4 and 28 for LS3? How did you come to that decision?
Do you want me to answer that, or?
I don't care. Okay, go ahead, sure.
So, the commission had quite a few conversations on this, and as Mr. Davey pointed out, 25 was in the draft for a little bit. I think 20 was even in some draft at some point.
Yep.
And the direction was to allow a full 2 stories at the street. We measure, as you may know, the height of the building from the average pre-construction grade. So most of the homes on the bay side of East Lake Shore are going to start below the road because of how we measure. And in doing 25 feet, I think as Mr. Davies pointed out, doesn't get you to full stories. You really need 10 feet. You've got the foundation, you've got the 10 feet, you've got a little bit of room between. And then we measure to the pitch of a roof.
The peak.
Yeah. So 27 and a half was a number that came up in a lot of the literature that I found about some of the floor plans for a pitched roof with, what was it, was it 12 on 6th grade or 12?
You mean pitch of the roof is fine, 612.
612, sorry. So with a pretty standard pitched roof, you could get a full 2 stories with a pitched roof.
Yep.
In
At
at
28.
about 27 and a half feet.
Yep.
So
Okay.
that's where the commission conversation went, but it all started with the direction to have 2 stories, no more.
So
So
it's,
a lot of these properties, it'll probably result in 3 because you don't have a walkout basement, because of the way that we measure the average construction grade of the height from there.
so a walkout basement, that's not considered a story. So where does your base level begin? Let's start either
Right.
28 feet.
Yeah, so your average pre-construction grade. So again, these are for rebuilds.
Mhm.
So when you take the 4 corners and you average that point,
Mhm.
this will require an engineer to complete that. And then the average of that is where you're starting from. In
Okay.
some cases, it could be a few feet below, 10 months or so.
Mhm.
Most of them are about half a story down where you start measuring.
So the decision was made for 28 for LS3, but 40 for LS4 across the street. Why the differential? Why aren't they at 28 for the same number of stories?
Yeah, I think that's a good
That-
question for the commission.
That's absolutely because on the lakeside, they wanted to keep things so it wasn't this massive houses all in a row and it blocks out everything. So we wanted to keep the character a little less big time, I guess.
So you're very concerned about the view from the people
The
on
residents were
LS4?
yep, the residents were very concerned about it. We had a
Okay,
whole group.
so
here.
you've assigned this 12-foot delta,
So-
correct?
Correct. So on the other side of the road,
Mhm.
we decided that you're not going to be obstructing a view
Mhm.
for the lake. But if you're building on the other side of the road, you definitely want as much lake as you can see.
Right.
So this gives you an opportunity to have, on one side of the road,
Mhm.
lots of lake view.
I
The
agree.
guy that lives out on,
Yeah.
right on the lake, he's going to have lake view either way.
Yeah.
2 stories gives him an opportunity to have, 2 floors, bedrooms with views, kitchens with views.
Okay. And I can see that situation being applicable when you're at the same level between LS3 and LS4, where you would want 40 on the non-lake side and 28 on the lake side. What do you do in the situation where the building or the base level is already 20 feet, a delta of 20 feet higher than on the bay side, than on the water side? So they're already, so in terms of maintaining that 12-foot delta for the folks across the street to be able to see, they've already got a 20-foot delta. So why wouldn't you allow that delta to be your set value? In other words, that, okay, this individual already has 20 feet above the individual on the water side. Why can't they come up to still maintain that 12 feet, delta?
Correct. I don't think we wanted the congested look either.
What's that?
I don't think we also wanted the congested look of all these big buildings on the lakeside. That was another concern,
Mm-hmm.
was the actual, people like the cottage look. So we kind of made a compromise here
Mm-hmm.
of how to get that look. It's a give and take. You're right. It's not all for the visual on LS4. There's also just for the straight visual of driving by,
Mhm.
the aesthetics of the whole, that side of the road. It's all played in. It's not a perfect world. There's no
Yeah.
doubt about it. We have to make compromises. I think that's the best we got.
Well, wasn't that part of the input they got from our public
Mm-hmm.
outreach?
Absolutely.
When we had the little activities,
Yep.
that's what it came down to, was lowering the scale on LS3.
I think
Yep.
the commission looked at the themes that came from those outreach
Mm-hmm.
meetings.
Yeah, it was part of
And
a couple.
the 2 very strong things that came out of it. One that didn't surprise me was about the heights on the bay side. We've been hearing that
Mhm.
long before we had any sort of outreach. I personally was a little surprised that the outreach, you asked about the non-bay side, was that there was no concern or less concern over there. And so I think that where the commission ended up with was a reflection of less concern and almost no concern
Yeah.
on the non-bay side, which, I think part of the reason we held those outreaches is because we weren't really sure how people felt about, especially that side. We've heard so little. And that was definitely a theme that came out of it. And I
Yeah,
think that's
absolutely.
the theme that the commission responded to.
I think that's what was there for R2 to begin with. That was the height, that area, so we left it in place.
Yeah, so
We
40
didn't
feet does
change it.
represent what's in the R2.
And again, this applies to not only new construction, but renovations. Correct, the 28?
That's correct.
Yeah, renovations that would extend the height. Obviously, if you already have a 40-foot building or 36-foot building,
Mm-hmm,
you're not required to chop it off
Right,
just because
right.
you're putting a small
Sure.
addition on.
mm-hmm.
But if you did put a larger addition, that part of the addition would be able to
Exceed the 20.
that, yeah.
And again, it's from the average foundation height,
The average pre-construction grade.
pre-construction grade.
Yeah. A little harder to tell when you're doing addition.
Mhm.
We don't see as much of that, but.
Okay.
There's good diagrams and regulations about that.
Yeah, and given the ones I've seen in recent months, it's a pretty straightforward calculation. They haven't had to really argue with people about it too much yet.
Mm. Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Yep, come on up.
Sorry.
That's all right.
I know it's not to be addressed in this draft, but what about LS1 and LS2 and the 20-foot height for those zones? For the, the residential 20-foot height?
You're right. We're not going to address that one tonight.
I know, but is that something that's going to be looked at in the future?
It can be. Like I said before, we can always go back and look at
Yeah.
what we've done to see if it works. All of these are, especially with the sewer pipe, they will probably have changes in the future. Because
Right.
we're not exactly sure what's going to happen. We
Yeah.
envision what we hope was going to happen, but will
Yeah,
it turn out exactly
It
that
just
way?
seems odd to me that, you got one standard here and another standard there, and it's basically
Yeah.
the same type of,
We had a lot of
structure.
community output on that one too, to tell you the
Yeah.
truth. And I think it's what the residents wanted, and it's
Yeah.
the property owners wanted. We listened to everybody. I think the groups coming out for that one is even larger than we had here, to tell you the truth.
yeah.
So it's a lot of
Interesting.
people living there, what they wanted, and that's what we reflect.
I think it briefly came up in the discussions, and there were some other things that came up with LS3 and LS4. We're like, ooh, does that mean we should look back again at the first two? And I think the consensus was, we didn't really do outreach that included LS1 and LS2, and it would be a little bit disingenuous to sort of make too many changes.
Oh, I totally
Without
agree. I was
having
just
to-
wondering if there was
I think that's the
thought
conversation
process
anyway.
of, in the future,
Yeah,
Oh, for sure.
yeah.
And all parts of town, we're always looking.
definitely a few
To
things
fit.
that came up in your conversation.
Yeah. Yep. Anything else on that one? We still okay with the 28? I'm okay with the 28. Bob, yeah?
Yeah, I
Good.
think we have to be flexible. We
Yeah.
have to change in the future, but it's a start.
I agree.
It's better than what we
I'm
have
all right
now.
with that. What do you think?
I'm good.
You're good? All right. So we're all good on that one still.
Do you want me to find anything else, the commercial vehicle parking that you want me to just take another quick look at, or?
Yeah, I don't know what number that one is.
We ended up with a 20-foot total and a 10-foot height.
10.01. I'm not making you all dizzy. Especially, I hope it doesn't freeze
Well,
again.
let's see. The length of commercial vehicles shall be less than, it says 16 feet, 18 feet in line. Doesn't look like it got changed. I'm looking at 701 M, 10.01 M.
See where we're at.
Almost there. Am I out too?
There we go.
18 feet?
Yeah,
Is that
we
what-
talked
no,
about
we-
20 feet, because I had looked it
Oh,
up.
okay.
And that would just restrict it to like one manufacturer, basically 17 and a half feet. And without having an extended cab, there's some that was like 19 feet 6 inches. So it seemed to be
Yeah.
logical to increase that to 20 feet to allow different manufacturers.
And we kept the height at 10,
10, yeah.
which is perfect. Get over that, you're getting to big box trucks.
Yeah. These are just kind of large size vans.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes, we did, that's what the other one
Yeah.
was, the number of rooms in the inns. Yep,
Went from 60 to 20, I think.
correct.
Yeah.
So we'll look at that one. Correct, I could not remember what the third one was, thank you.
Is that real quick?
Oh, go back, yeah. Are you still looking at the commercial?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Okay, sorry, it doesn't have that.
No, that one doesn't have the red on it.
Changes. Were you saying something about the,
number of rooms in an inn. That was next.
sorry, it's not my laptop, so I'm trying to, figure out where everything is. Oh my gosh, there it
All right,
is. 20 feet.
good. So now we're looking for the rooms, number of rooms in an inn.
Ah, yes, I believe that's in definitions,
Yeah,
Article 12. The notes I read had 20?
Yep.
Is that incorrect?
20 is it?
20?
All good? Okay.
Anything else?
Any other concerns for supplement 44? No? No? All right, so ready for a motion? Yeah.
Let's accept the draft.
Yeah,
Make a motion to accept the draft as submitted and
Various
revised.
language, I'm sorry.
Oh, you want me to use that?
Yeah.
Okay, make the motion to warn for planning commission public hearing on September 20th, 2022. The proposed amendments to the Colchester Development Regulations known as Supplement 44 and as reviewed and considered and amended the evening of August 16th, 2022.
need a second?
Second it.
All right, a discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Very good.
Okay, so anyone following along, all of that will be warned, we'll have a public hearing. You do not have to resubmit comments, everything you've submitted today will count, but I do generally encourage it, so you have it on record for the public hearing. You're welcome to do that in writing in advance, either directly to myself, via email, or to the planning commission, or attend the public hearing. I do always encourage anything, especially if you've already had it in writing, to just get it in the record for the actual public hearing.
Okay,
September 20th.
perfect. Planning Commission meeting schedule, which will involve supplement 44. It's pretty good.
So, schedule. So you now have a public hearing for the 20th. That is your second meeting in September, your second regularly scheduled meeting. Your first regularly scheduled meeting would be the 6th. I'm putting it out there to see if you want to have a meeting, and if so, you'll have to tell me what you want on it.
Yeah, I think we're good.
I don't have anything prepared.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Charges? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that'll give you plenty of time to get it
Didn't
up.
even pick up a tomato to throw at you.
Far away.
That's not why I put it there.
Yeah, I think we're
So,
good. Right to the
would you like
20th.
to cancel your September 6th meeting, or?
Yep,
So we're skipping them.
skipping them, the
Skip
6th, go right to the 20th. I get some time to finish everything up. Make sure I didn't get all the typos in Labor Day weekend. Yeah, we're good.
Okay,
Yep.
so then the next question for you, so you have the 20th as the public hearing. There will be nothing else on that agenda except that I think I also have a energy report from the town manager's office to share with you. We'll have to get that into the record. But that we're, other than that, we're gonna keep it to just the public hearing.
Yep.
September 27th would be a delivery of that supplement, assuming that you take action
Yep.
on the 20th. You don't have to. But should you take action on the 20th to approve it, it would be to send that to the select board. Their very next meeting would be the 27th. I encourage at least one person,
I'll be there.
probably two,
Yep.
if possible,
Yep.
to attend to represent the planning commission, to deliver that. They wouldn't have a public hearing that night, of course. They may just accept it. They may take questions. They may talk about it all the way through.
Yep.
But it's important for them to receive it that night. They could, if they take any action, it would be to warn it for an October hearing. If they choose to take that action, given the newspaper warning dates and all of our legal requirements, it would be an October 25th select board public hearing.
Yep.
With that in mind, moving along on my little dots here, October 4th is your regular planning commission meeting. I would encourage you to figure out if you'd like to have a meeting then. You could think about that between now and September the 20th, of course.
Yep.
I think, obviously, if you have not taken action on the 20th, that meeting will probably come into play. For you, it would be your next regular meeting if you decide to continue from the 20th.
Yep.
So I guess what I'm saying is hold your social calendar. But I don't necessarily have much new business for you, and I don't think that you've shared that you'd like to get this sort of packed away a little more before you open up something new. Does
Yep.
that still seem accurate?
Yep.
Okay. You know, the same thing with the 18th. You'll still be ahead of where the select board would be in their public hearing. So consider what you'd like to do there. We could start to kick off. It could be a good meeting to talk about, all right, what's next? And without getting into the details, but agenda setting. Either the 4th or the 18th, I'd encourage you to do some agenda setting, project prioritization.
Yep.
There were some things that you did kick from the spring to the fall. Take some final action on them if you'd like.
Yeah.
Nothing new has come in for your review. No new zoning amendment requests. You know, we talked about twice a year, spring and fall. I don't have anything that's come in. As I say that, I'll get 4 tomorrow. I don't have anything at this time for that. You know, same thing, select board public hearing on the 25th. It would be good if 1 to 2 people, I will of course be there as well.
I will be there.
Answer the questions and
Yep.
represent the select board. And then we're into November and we're all gonna be wearing sweaters.
Back to your time.
Sure.
So we're also the energy committee for the town, correct?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, like, those times that we're not meeting as a select board, when should we be meeting and what would those agendas look like?
Yeah, I think, going from my whole 11 months of experience with you, you did have a presentation by the town manager's office last fall for the annual energy report. You received that. I think you took a vote to accept it. You had some questions, talked about it. But I think that most of the proactive work is usually done by staff members. And then, there's direction or relation to anything that's in the capital plan. So I do have a report that I will bring to you, and then I think we'll follow that up with maybe a presentation. I have to follow up with the town manager's office to see.
Could we just get an update since it was like a year ago? Like where we are?
I'll definitely have a
Yeah.
written update for you.
Yep.
I actually got it today, but I couldn't put it on your agenda
Okay,
without proper warning.
great,
So
thank you.
I have at least a written report, and then you guys could read it. So I'll have that on for the 20th. You guys could read it and determine whether or not you want to have a member of the staff present it to you or not.
The 20th?
The 20th, we'll do it after the public hearing.
Yeah, after the public hearing.
Yeah. We'll have the public hearing.
Because the public
first.
hearing is going to take time. That's going to be
Yeah.
the whole read right through.
Yeah, and public hearings have to be held at a time certain,
Right.
Yeah,
so
Yeah.
we'll do it after.
Okay.
is that okay?
No, that's good.
Okay.
That's what I mean. I just didn't want to.
I don't know that I'll have much to present to you that night, but I will have a memo for you to read, and then you could determine, hey, I'd really like to know more about this, have somebody come talk to us about it if you like.
All right.
Sounds good.
Yep. Anything else? Kathy? Oop, Good.
Do we have some minutes to go over or anything?
Yep.
Some minutes, quickly by way of staff notes, I just want to alert you that our department is now short one member. We had one member of our staff, one of our associate planners has left us. We will be advertising soon. So just, not that I ever need to ask you guys this, but I do appreciate ongoing patience. As we do sort of have a short staff during a very busy time of the year for us. So it's a high permitting time
Yeah.
through the summer usually, and we'll be reaching out, so if you know anybody great, send them my way. Job should be posted very soon.
All right. Yep.
Can you just clarify the dates that we're not meeting, that we
Yeah.
decided?
So I think you
for
just decided to skip September 6th, so you could remove that. You were going to hold October 4th, but I think the direction was no meeting unless something came out of the select board receipt that was worrisome, or you continued your public hearing for any way, but you would hold it, probably not joining the pickleball league, but there may not be a meeting. It sounds like October 18th may be a good time to have a meeting to talk about maybe some, just scheduling. We'll keep it light, and it'll just be prioritization of projects, the things that we talked about before, like the form-based code, and anything else that you really are feeling strongly you want to start to work on.
Okay.
And part of your next supplement, there's always another supplement. And you're going to get right into it.
So for the 18th, I think I'll be out of the state. Is there any way I could just listen in on Zoom? Not, I don't need to participate, but if I could just listen into the meeting,
Yeah.
that would be great. If that's not too much trouble.
No, we probably still do it with Zoom. We just don't turn the camera on, to be honest with you. It's still probably the easiest way.
Okay, great, thank you.
All good?
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
All good? Need a motion for minutes?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Wait,
Nope.
I have
Nope,
a
motion for minutes.
I have a correction.
Oh, the
in
minutes.
Jump
Yeah,
in.
yeah, that's all right. Make a motion for the minutes.
I wasn't here for the last meeting, so I can't do
There you
anything
go.
with minutes.
Okay, I make a motion that we accept the minutes
I need a
for the last
second.
meeting.
We'll discuss it. We need a
Okay,
second.
second.
All right, now we need to,
I need this.
now we need to discuss.
Okay, I just need to find, oh, it's on my,
Right here?
anyway, it was, yep. I just want to clarify short order restaurant that I wanted.
Okay.
You could just take, I mean, you don't even have to take it out. I just want to clarify it was just a restaurant or a small restaurant, but not short order.
Okay. I think by saying it here, that puts it onto the record.
Okay, great.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Now,
Make a motion to adjourn.
whoop, hold on. You all good? Okay. Need a second? You scared me a minute. Second? Second, all in favor? Aye. Meeting's adjourned.
I don't know who made the motion to adjourn, but you guys never
Bob.
argue with things like that.
It's always right.
That's
Yeah.
Bob.
Bob.
Always Bob.